Sean Nelson, happy to have you, my guy.
I appreciate you, man. I'm glad to be here.
Had to make it happen, man. I had no idea you from the Bronx.
I am. I'm born and raised in the Bronx, Co-op City. You know what I'm saying? So it's not too crazy over there. It might be a little more crazier now, but
Yeah, I had no idea you was from the Bronx, man. But had to bring you on, man. I'm a big fan of your work. The Wood, Fresh, both are legendary movies to me, man. So it was only right to bring you on, man. And when you look at it, you had a big role in both movies, man. So that's a big deal, man.
well, yeah. I mean, those are movies that did a made brought my career, to the forefront. Like those are the things that made my career. And Fresh was the first thing. Well, I had done a TV show before Fresh, but Fresh really kind of put me on the map and opened up the door for everything else. So I definitely think about that. But one of the things too is that I did a lot of those when I was a kid. I was 13 when I shot Fresh, and when we did The Wood, I shot it when I was 18 and it came out in 99. So, now it's like I have to now uh well, yeah, show people that I'm an adult now. Now it's kind of like, okay, you did that as a kid, now, okay. What are you doing as an adult? You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of people, a lot of these casting people, they still see me as the kid. You know what I mean? So it's like, oh, we still see you as the boy from the little kid that's a good kid in a bad situation. So it's kind of like the transition, basically. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, I can be an adult. Watch. Like, I don't care what you still seeing. I'm an adult now. You know what I mean? So it's proven them to them, you know what I mean, that I can play these roles. You know what I mean? I'm not that kid anymore.
Yeah, they know you capable of doing them roles now, man. So, but speaking of you being a kid actor, how did you get into acting?
Well, see, I started singing in kindergarten. That's how I kind of got into the arts. I was starting out just singing in kindergarten. It was like a little group in my little. It was like a island Catholic church type kindergarten school that we sang in the church, and there was three of us, and I always had a little solo. So my mother wanted me to learn how to perform. She put me in dance classes and piano and acting classes, and it was just like, trying to keep me busy. And doing that, I went to a this woman whose name was Lola Louise, and she was teaching these classes out of her house in the Bronx, and that's how she pushed me into the acting. And I went out for this group over here called Tada, which is for young performers and musical theater. And I got into that, and that's how I got my first taste of professional theater and all that. But from that, I did my first paying job when I was 10 at the Playwrights Horizon on 42nd Street, and that was called Hey Little Walter. I did a show with Merlin Santana and Harold. I always butcher his last name, but he was in Lost Perneau or something. I forget his last name. It's hard to, you know what I mean. But I played. I was like Merlin's friend, but I was the young Jamaican drug dealer at 10 years old. That was my first paying gig. And, I just kind of developed this love for it, man. Like I wanted to keep doing it. And I wanted to get on television. I wanted to get in film. And, I auditioned for a lot of things and I just wasn't booking sometimes. I got into other plays, but, pushing for the TV. And Fresh was that break, man, at 13.
Top 10 movie of all time for me personally. But you getting that role, how did that come about?
Well, I believe I had gotten an agent from from Tada when I was a part of Tada. The agents would come and watch the shows and see what talent they wanted to try to represent. And I think that's how I got my agent. And he was just sending me out. I did an episode of Here and Now, which was Malcolm Jamal Warner's show back then. May he rest in peace. And that was my first taste of television work. But I was just a guest star on that. And I just was trying to push to do these other things, and I went for an audition for Fresh, man. And it was just like, they told me that they were looking at hundreds of kids. It wasn't all different races. It was just like, they didn't know what they wanted. And at first, when I auditioned, and the director was watching all the people that auditioned and all the tapes, he said that he just overlooked my performance. It was just like, man, next. But it was his brother that was like, nah, you got to watch this kid. He's doing something, man. Like, you got to watch what he's doing. And so he went back and was like, damn, you're right. Let's bring him back in. And, I went back in a couple more times until they told me I booked it. And it was like, oh, I'm going to be in a movie. And that's how that came about, man. It was just, the audition process is finally booking.
And y'all shot that in Brooklyn, right?
We shot majority of it in Brooklyn, and some of the train track scenes were like in Queens. But yeah, majority of it was in Brooklyn. But yeah, I mean, they got the locations, and we went out there and shot. One time when we were doing this scene that I believe it's right after Chucky gets shot. There's a scene where they show me running, and it's kind of like a montage, and we shot that super late at night. Just the director and the cameraman in a van, and they had me running next to the van, and they were just tracking me running, shooting it. And we got like one shot off, and we hear gunshots in the distance, and they're like, "Okay, cut, we're out of here. Let's go. That's a wrap." They were like, "Nah, we ain't gonna catch no strays out here, B." But yeah, that was cool. I feel like, over time, Fresh, got got its due. You know what I mean? Because I don't know if it really hit when it first came out. People were checking for it, but I think over time, it built up. And I had an acting coach on that. We worked on the scenes and we talked to the director for what he wanted, and we just kind of did it that way, man. Like, a lot of that stuff I didn't know anything about, you know what I mean? So it was really just acting. You know what I mean? I didn't come from that world. I was basically a performer kid, you know what I mean? And I ran track. I was always, doing things so my mother didn't want me in the street. So yeah, I mean, it was just kind of just doing what we thought, I mean, was best to build this character. And I guess, I pulled it off.
Samuel Jackson. How was it like working with him?
It was cool working with Sam. He was one of the dudes that I had seen before, was like, oh man, this guy's a legit actor. You know what I'm saying? He's playing my pops, but he was only on set for, a few days. We shot out all his stuff pretty much in less than a week. And he just bodied the role, man. And in one scene where I had to cry, he tried to help me out because the first take I couldn't do it, man. I because I wanted to do it on my own without any like putting anything in my eyes or whatever. They gave me time to just let the camera roll and try to get it, but I couldn't do it. And he tried to help out, so he started slapping me like, "Come on, come on." And I'm like, that's not working, bro. I can't cry. Like, it was just like, yeah, no, I think that tactic ain't for me, bro. You know what I mean? So we cut, and the director just kind of talked to me. He's like, yo, take your time with it. Think about whatever you need to think about. And the second take, man, it just came. And I feel like it's hard. Like that was always something I was worried about as an actor. Like, I want to do these things, but I don't know how to just pull out that emotion. You know what I mean, out of thin air. But I was able to do it, man. You know what I mean? And I was very proud of that moment. And then we had to do it again. You know what I mean? It was like, all right, we got one. Well, let's get it again. You know what I mean? And I think the second time I was able to do it too. So, I mean? That was definitely a proud moment for me, man.
So he was actually slapping you, trying to make you cry.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it wasn't hard, but it was like I think the idea was, I'm a kid, and it would, kind of build up this emotion in me, and it just wasn't. Like, I don't know. I was like, oh yeah, that ain't it, bro. But he was, and I think somebody had asked him years later about that situation. He's like, I don't remember that, but it sounds like something I do. And I get it, you know what I'm saying? But it just didn't work for me in that moment. You know what I mean? I don't know if that's something I would do as an adult, you know what I mean, that help trying to help somebody else find that emotion. But you know, I could see how it could work.
Yeah, that's crazy. I had no idea that it took him a few days to do his scenes, but I mean, at that time he was hot as hell, so it makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I think that was the beginning of when he was starting to get hot because that was I'm not sure if they came out at the same time, but that Pulp Fiction, I feel like really catapulted him. But he's in like damn near every movie, you know what I'm saying? But I feel like Pulp Fiction kind of was that transition for him, man. So that yeah, I think they both came out the same year, and it was both Miramax.
Yeah, he was doing his thing at that time. But I do want to ask you, do you remember, shooting that basketball scene when a little girl get killed?
Yeah, I mean that scene and the scene with the dog. People ask about those scenes a lot, and you know, for me, in it, you know, I still was a kid and looking at it like technical, like, oh wow, you know, we got like there's a tube behind her that's leaking this red ooze out, you know what I mean? So I wasn't like, oh, this is crazy, like it really looks like, but I was just still being technical with it, you know, try to get the emotion right for the scene. But yeah, it was definitely wild how we shot that, man, and like you know had the ball explode, you know, and she's laying there. I've got my hands, and it was so sticky, and I got my hands on her neck, and I'm like, wow, this is like it's like syrup, you know what I mean, like or like a honey or something. And with the dog scene, when I shot the dog, people always like, "Hey, why'd you shoot the dog?" I'm like, "Well, it was in the script. That's why I shot the dog." Like, I don't know, like, but you know, I think for Fresh, it was kind of like he had lost Chucky, and this was like a reminder, maybe the dog, and he also didn't like the way Chucky had him fighting and killing, you know, with the dog fights. So he kind of just you know took it in his own hands to kind of end that. But the dog was like a some type of mechanical dog that we shot. They were able to like hang it up, and then they had a remote that made the limbs go like this, and then just put some squibs on it when you know I pulled the trigger. So yeah, it was all technical stuff, bro.
When you look back at Fresh, right? What scene do you remember the most shooting?
On Fresh,
Yeah, y'all Fresh.
besides the getting slapped scene, no, I think the other scene that you know was memorable for me because you know it was something that we didn't rehearse. It was something that was brought up on the day. That was an artistic decision. It was a scene where after I come from the precinct after Rosie gets killed, I go lay down in the bed naked. You know what I'm saying? And that was something that wasn't in the script or planned before, but on the day, the director just had this idea of him curling up into a fetus position naked. And he asked me if I wanted to do that. I was like, I don't, what? What the hell? I don't know about that. You got to ask my mom. I'm not trying to do that. But, you know, my parents were like, you know, it was my decision if I wanted to do it, if I felt like it would make, you know, the movie better somehow. And, you know, I was like, you know what? Whatever, I'll do it, you know? And we stripped down the set. There wasn't anybody that didn't need to be there, wasn't in there. And you know, we just shot it, man. And I that was just one thing where I was like, damn, I'm naked. And this is gonna be on film, you know what I'm saying? And I didn't know how to feel about that. But you know, it was done tastefully, so you know, I wasn't mad at it.
If I'm not mistaken, Big Pun took a soundbite from the movie, right?
He did the Chucky scene where he's like, bam, bam, Spider-Man go down, bam. Well, this person go down, all they going down. Yeah, he did use that on his album, which was
Yeah,
wild.
I think he used that on the intro.
Yeah, yeah, man. And I always be like, yo, I always listen to be like, oh, is somebody gonna use any of my lines or reference anything from me in a song? You know what I mean? And this happened a couple times. Jewel's actually made a song about Fresh. Little boy Fresh. You know what I mean? And I know Jay-Z made a reference. He was like, I was like Fresh. Papa raised me with chess moves. And I'm always proud of stuff like that, man, to see the influence. Because you never know what these projects are gonna do. You always take a chance with anything. That I mean, I honestly, I was just happy to be there, be a part of a film. But you never know. I didn't think that it would be I didn't know. I was just like, yo, I'm gonna be in a movie. That's all I knew. And it's dope when it can touch people in a positive way, and people can relate, and you know it does help them get through certain situations, or they can feel like somebody they're understood. And it's dope to hear the stories from different people that come up to me on the street, like, yo, I was Fresh, and watching that, my pops made me watch that so I could, what I mean, I could learn how to move in these streets. My pops taught me chess so I could have that mindset to, what I mean, overcome these obstacles. And I didn't know how to play chess. That was all all those games were, rehearsed. We had to play the same game every time. I had a coach for that as well. So, when you're shooting, it's got to land in a certain place at a certain time. Everything's got to be rehearsed. So, yeah, all those games were pre-rehearsed games. But it's just dope to see how, the art can affect people's lives, man.
Definitely one of my favorites, man. As a kid, man, I used to have that on replay over and over, man. So
I appreciate that.
classic.
I appreciate that. I actually did a screening for it. Somebody did a screening for it, and it was like one of the anniversaries, and they had me speak. And then like after, I'm just talking to the people, and some guy walks up behind me and is like, hey, Sean. And I turn around, and it's the director of Fresh that came to the screening, just popped up, didn't tell anybody, you know what I mean? Didn't speak or anything, but he just popped up because he had heard about it. And I hadn't seen him damn near since we, were promoting Fresh. You know what I mean? So it had been years. This happened probably like 2 years ago. And so we kind of reconnected as well. And I brought up the age old question. Oh, people are always asking for a part two. And he's like, he don't really want to touch it, you know? And I get that. Like, I don't, a lot of times when people do kind of do like a sequel to these things years later, it's not as good, and it kind of loses,
Nah, it's not.
it loses. Yeah. It's like, yeah, some things you gotta kind of just leave alone, man. Stat. Like, what do they say? Like, quit while you're ahead. That's what some of these cats should have done. You know what I mean? I get it. Yeah, I think we should quit while we ahead on that one. And there was one that I was hyped that it was coming back, and I wanted to be a part of it. They had New York on the cover. They were going to bring that back. It was a whole different um, cast. I mean, they only had Malik Yoba and I think one of the actresses, but everybody else would have been new. It was like um, dealing with like some new rookies coming in, and I mean, hopefully it would have been paying homage to the original, the way they had that, the structure of that one, because that was dope, man. How they used to bring in the musical artists every episode, and it was like the first time you see these cops that look like us, kind of, sort of, you know what I mean? Like in the streets, it was wild, man. Yeah, man. Yeah, it was dope. But yeah, that one actually, for whatever reason, didn't happen. Maybe they'll come back around. I don't know.
Yeah, that New York Undercover is one of my favorite
Yeah.
TV shows, man. And using one of my favorite episodes too, the episode where you were stealing the cards.
See, that's funny because people don't generally talk about that one. Because I did two as two different people. And I think it was like damn near the same season, which was wild. You know what I mean? But that one was supposed to be the pilot. It was the pilot episode of New York Undercover, which is the first episode, what I mean, that they shot. But they ended up switching it and making it the second episode that they aired. I don't know which one they aired as the first episode, but that episode was the first episode that they shot. And yeah, like I was out there stealing cars. You know what I mean? This little dude out there stealing cars for, what is that actor's name? Man,
Yeah, I know who you talking about. The
I
guy
forget
that
his,
be
but
playing them
I
scary roles, man.
he was. Yeah, I'm so mad. I'm blanking on his name, bro. But yeah, he was cool.
Chills from the Hood. He was in that.
Yeah, he was in Tales from the Hood, and he was like, "Yes, Cuban B." He's always got that wild energy. But Bill Duke, who was he's an actor also. He was in the original Predator, the bald head guy. He directed that episode. And he actually pops up when in the end as a shooter. He threw himself in there as a shooter. But yeah, that was a dope episode. And the other episode I did that people ask me about all the time is this one where there's a kid called named Mouse, and he looks up to me. I'm like this dude that's like running his little crew in New York, and apparently there's some beef between, I forget the premise of the episode, but I think there's a beef between my crew and another crew, and somehow I'm tasked to have to kill Mouse. And Mouse is like just little tiny kid, man. And I end up popping him, and people are like, yo, why'd you kill Mouse? I'm like, I don't know, bro. That wasn't me. That was the character. Al. Al was his name. Al's a dirtbag, yo. My bad, Mouse. I would have never done that if it was Sean. If it was Sean Nelson.
Clarence Williams. That's his name.
Yeah. Yes. Clarence Williams, man. He was a wild guy, man. What else was he? Yeah, he was in a bunch of stuff, man. He's classic.
But yeah, man, that was a dope ass show, man. Was it fun shooting that show, yeah?
Yeah, man. Yeah. I remember one time because I was in high school at that time, and we were shooting everything on location. And I went to a performing arts high school that allowed me to work while I was in school. And I was on the basketball team. I don't know why. I think I just wanted the uniform, bro. But I remember one time while I was working, my team was playing at the school I'm shooting at. Like literally, like either right across the street or whatever. So they're going to play a game, and I'm obviously can't do it because I'm working. But they like, yo, Sean, you shooting on? And I'm like, yeah, I'm working. And it was an episode of not Law and Order, New York Undercover, where I end up killing Mouse. You know what I mean? But there's a basketball scene in the beginning of that where that's how I get into this altercation with the other crew. Like oh, that's what it was. Like I get into an altercation with the other crew, and Little Mouse pops one of them dudes for me. And they're like, oh, you want to make it right? You need to kill that kid. And that's what it was. That was the whole setup of why Mouse had to go.
But looking back at it, man, looking back at New York Undercover, a lot of them episodes could have been full blown movies, yo.
Oh yeah, they could be standalone movies on their own. You know what I mean? That's how these things be. It was ahead of its time, I think, bro. And I wish they would bring some. I mean, I'm not always on board to bring stuff like that back, but that one, I was a fan.
Yeah, that's a real good TV show. But you being from New York, right? I'm sure you're more known for Fresh, right, than The Wood. And how did you get the role for The Wood, man?
Nah, but even people in New York know me from the wood, bro. People from everywhere know me from the wood. It's why I feel like that one has. They both have crossover appeal, because I'm always fascinated by the people that even for Fresh, I get people from overseas that are fans, and they reach out and tell me they're big fans. They love my performance in that. But the wood, I was actually working out in LA when I booked that one. I had just went in for the audition, and I was already working on like some TV show. I might have been working on a show called The Client, or these Touched by an Angel and Promised Land episodes. I don't remember, but I did a lot of TV work. You know what I mean? Like just guest stars, and I was actually on a season of this show called Sisters. I might have been working on that, and they had me come in for this movie, The Wood. And I remember when I read it, I was like, yo, I love this script. This is me. I was doing all this stuff in high school, right? In junior high. You know what I mean? And yeah, they kind of just went with me, kind of, yeah, it wasn't like even a too many much of a callback. I don't think it was just like, okay, yeah, that's our guy. But I remember they had me reading with the different options for the his love interest. And the one I remember, Megan Good came in there. It was reading. I couldn't even remember my lines. B. I was like, let's take it back one more time. One more time. But yeah, that was dope. And I remember I had to go back to New York, and my boy always tells me that the guy that played Slim, Dwayne Finley, that they had him reading opposite all the females just to figure out who they wanted to be the love interest. And he was like, "Yo, thank you for that. I got to read with all these bad honeys." But yeah, with that one we had a lot of fun on, man. It was a lot like the dynamic on camera. It was pretty much the same off camera because I was the new guy. Like, I'm not from there, and all these dudes was from. The other two were from California, L.A. Well, Trent was from Sacramento, but I think he spent a lot of time in L.A. Trent was the one that played Roland, and they kind of would just take me around, showing me the ropes, man. And we kind of, in a lot of the scenes, especially Dwayne, we improved a lot of stuff, man, just messing around, just having a good time. Yeah. Yeah, I know the director, that was one of his things where we would do it, as scripted, and then kind of just next one just have fun. And the way we shot it too, we shot all the all the younger versions first, so the older versions of us were able to watch our demeanor and stuff and kind of play off of that and add maturity to it, just like, so we are the same person. So it was dope. We had a good time on that one, bro.
So a lot of them scenes was made up on the spot.
I mean, yeah, we were just messing around. And Dwayne, like, I don't even think that the line that people remember all the time, I think he made that up. What page? Nine on? What was it? Which I forget which page it is. Which page? This page? Yeah, he says which page is what, and it's like, yo, I think he just made that up on the spot. There's a lot of stuff like that where we just talking. You know what I mean? We, getting on each other. That's how we talk.
But that's crazy to hear, man, that Megan Good, she auditioned for it.
She auditioned for it. Yeah, I mean, but I don't know what it was, but yeah, a lot of people came in and read. You know what I mean? I saw some of the auditions for the older versions of us, and what's his name came in. What is his name? Yeah, I'm just like blanking right now. But I see some of the actors that came in, and there's big names that came in, and it's not to say anything about their talent. It's just what they felt were the right fits. Sometimes it's not about how good you are. It's how not to say that some of these the cats that were in our film weren't good. Of course, we were fire, but sometimes it's just like, are you the best fit? If you have a look, or what I mean. I don't know. It's just what you exude. You know what I mean. It's not all about, oh, who's the best actor or actress. I mean, I think we got some good dudes to play these roles, man.
Yeah, they definitely killed that. So it was some other big names who auditioned for that movie.
Terrence Howard, he came in it. I think he was reading. Yeah, Terrence Howard. I saw his self tape, or not self tape, his audition tape. He came in. I mean, he did a good job, but I guess the director was just looking for something different. I think he went for Tay's role. But yeah, it's dope to bring new talent in a lot of times, man. And I think a lot of people don't, kind of get stuck in one thing. I could have easily gotten stuck playing the same role as Fresh all the time. But I was definitely proud to have gotten that one because I feel like, it was definitely closer to my personality. And it was a really good time. And I want to do more comedy, bro. Like, that was definitely like one of the only comedies I was able to that I've done, you know what I mean? And definitely want to do more of that. But yeah, it's good to bring in fresh faces. And sometimes you want to keep the ones that Okay, I know you can bring it, so I'm gonna keep bringing them back.
Yeah, I mean, bringing in new faces, man. I mean, that's the way to go sometimes, man. But yeah, I had no idea y'all shot that in Inglewood. How was that like, yeah?
That was cool, man. We were shooting on location for that one, and like I said, I was the new guy, so I I didn't know where nothing was. I didn't know how anything worked, and I know my boy DeAndre, who played Stacy, he was wilding out one time because they got him dressed up like a blood. We out there late night, and he up there throwing signs. I'm like, yo, I'm gonna stand over here away from this dude. They started to look at us a little crazy. I don't need no smoke. I definitely was like, yo, I don't know what colors I could wear out here. You know what I mean? I don't want to offend anybody. Like, I don't know how that works. I'm from New York, bro. We wasn't doing none of that. You know what I mean? So it was definitely it was interesting in that sense, but we definitely had a good time on that one. I was hanging out a lot, even though I had my mother, because when you're under 18, you have to have a guardian with you, traveling with you. So that was like one of the last projects that I had a guardian with me. So I think I was pushing it, hanging out super late. You know what I mean? I was like, yo, I'm grown now. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna be out with the fellas, ma. I'll be back. But we had a great time out there, man. They showed me the ropes. And one of the things that happened too is that I think it was before we shot. Um, hold up. We I was graduating from high school, and they have this thing called grad night out there, and they were also graduating. And grad night out there is when they shut down. I want to say it was like Universal Studios, and all the high school students that are graduating go hang out at Universal Studios, and I was able to be a part of that. And what's funny, I think my ex said she was there, and I didn't even know. You know what I mean? Like I didn't know her at that time, but it happened that we were still we were at that same place at the same time randomly. Didn't know, and years later we connected. But yeah, it was cool to see that they did that, and I got to meet like all these other people from same age from all these different high schools or whatever, and hang out and experience that.
Yeah, I know when I spoke to DeAndre, he was telling me about the liquor store scene.
Yeah, it was the liquor store scene where he was out. Wait, it's not when they come up, but he wasn't there. Oh, you talking about the liquor store scene where he's inside the liquor store, he's robbing the place. I, yeah, it might have been, yeah, because we shot the interior with him there. The exterior where we are outside is where he was throwing up signs while we're doing our shot. He's waiting to get to his shot, but you know there are real bloods and real crips outside that is like, yo, bro, take it easy. You know what I mean? Don't throw up no signs. We don't need no problems out here. You know what I mean? But yeah, that scene was hilarious as well, man. And they had, because the story is loosely based on the life of the director and writer of the project, and they had the real uh, Mike Roland and Slim standing behind the register in the with the older versions of us when he's like drunk and he's going to the store to get like whatever to sober up. They had the real one standing behind the counter, you know, just to show like, oh yeah, these are the real guys right here.
Yeah, DeAndre was telling me about that scene. He told me that the guy behind the counter, he was a real OG. He was telling me about that some weeks ago. But
Oh yeah.
how was it like shooting that fight scene with DeAndre?
I remember when we were shooting that, uh we're setting up, and I think something wasn't working. Like when we were doing the part where I punch him, it was like, oh, it's not looking right or something. And DeAndre's like, yo, he should just punch me. I think I could take one. I'm like, yo, I'm not punching this dude. Yeah. His face. We're gonna do it more than once, and he's gonna be all swole. Like, what are we talking about? But you know, we just gotta sell it. That's all. But I know he wanted to try one, and I'm like, I'm not gonna do that, man. I can't have that on my conscience. uh, yeah, I mean, and that else actually happened in Fresh too, where there's a scene where the crackhead is telling me something about like she wants. I'm not serving her, And she's like, "Oh, we could go in the back seat, and I'll do this. I'll do this to you," and I slap her. And for that, I actually slapped her because I don't know, I don't remember if it wasn't working or what, but they were like, "Yeah, she could, she could take it," like, or what I mean, like, it just needed to look real. I'm a kid, what I mean, but each take, I slapped her. So yeah, Sam wasn't the only one slapping people. Yeah, there's a lot of fun stuff that we did in there that I feel like a lot of people can relate to, and I feel like that one definitely also had crossover appeal. I get so many people from different uh, walks of life and different races that just be like, "Oh, you the dude from the wood, yo, you're gold, bro. You're golden, bro. Like, you want some beer?" Like, nah, I'm good. Yeah, I've definitely heard that line before. It's like, yeah, that's good, right? But nah, I love it. I love when when people are giving me my props for that, and when it shows that they're watching and they appreciate what you do. They could be like, yo, you that dude? Yo, you are trash. And that wouldn't feel that good.
Yeah, the Wood a worldwide classic, man. But looking back at it now, did you ever think that all these people would still be talking about that movie? Yeah?
I feel like I never know. I never know what these projects want to do, but that was definitely one that I looked at the script and was like, "Oh, I want to do this one. I'm gonna have fun doing it." Like it just I was laughing at the script, laughing at certain parts. It was just like, yeah, I want to be a part of this. I want to do it, and I was lucky enough to be a part of that, man. So I feel like I never know what any of these things are gonna do, and it's just a blessing when it hits and it resonates with the people, man. You can't, sometimes that doesn't happen. And I mean, so grateful, so grateful. And it's just, in this business, it's you got to look ahead also. Definitely I appreciate what I've done, but okay, what am I gonna do next? And it's those are hard acts to follow, man. I'm trying to see what's next. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, there's definitely, things that I'm working on, trying to build on, and, trying to have that same success and a connection with the people that these other projects had, man. And I mean, like I said, the corner, was a dope one as well. That was like one of the only series that, well, no, I've done a couple other series work, but that was one of the mini series that I feel like people really related to, and it was just like one of those stories that people it helped them deal with their situations, their family situations. It shed light on certain issues.
Yeah, I was just about to ask you about the how you get a role in that.
Man, I had to audition for all these things. You know what I'm saying? It was like there were offers, and there was things that I did that I was offered. I actually did a movie before The Wood and The Corner. I did a movie with Dustin Hoffman and Dennis Franz. It was just three of us in this whole movie, and we thought that was gonna be something big because it's got Dustin Hoffman, and it got me. It got this Dennis Franz, who was big from NYPD Blue, and it was like this big artsy movie called American Buffalo, written by David Mamet, who's a big playwright. He's also had success with his plays being adapted in the film, but that one just didn't. It didn't really go nowhere, bro. And we shot that in Pawtucket, Rhode Island. That was the first time I got to fly on a private jet, um, on Dustin's private jet. We rehearsed in L.A. and then flew to Pawtucket, Rhode Island, which I would have never imagined I'd be going to any place called Pawtucket, Rhode Island. And we shot it there, and I know I was working on other projects after that, and I feel like it just came and went, and I was like, wait, uh, did it come out yet? Yeah, it came out. It's gone. It was like, damn, it ain't hear nothing, B. But I think that's one that's also like in the more theater world and people that are looking for that type of content. It's still still good with them. But majority of my fans have never heard of that, bro. But so check it out, American Buffalo.
But in a sense, when you look at it, the corner that laid the groundwork for the wire, right?
Well, the Corner was the miniseries about this family in Baltimore, um, and it was they had a book for it as well. You know what I mean? And the same creators of the TV show Homicide, and then after the Corner, they had the Wire. And so it it was the Corner was just based on that family, but I feel like the Wire was an expansion of that story and the pandemic of the drug pandemic in Baltimore, in these Baltimore streets. And it showed both sides of it, from the street side to the side of the undercover police and all those people involved in that. And yeah, I think some of the characters did kind of cross over. Uh, and I mean, it's the same blocks, what I'm saying, around the same times, and that was definitely one that was one of those hard truths, the type of stories that I was a part of. And it was just like the destruction of this family. You know, they were doing good until this happened. Like this got introduced to. I think it was the was it the mother first? I can't remember, but it just starts with one, and then it trickled down until the son's using. And it just destroyed that family, man. And it's a true story. And but the mother, I think, outlived. Uh, I want to say she outlived the son as well, but the father and the son. I think she passed away more recently, and I think she had a role in The Wire as well. They used some of the people as actors in their projects. Um, I think DeAndre, who I played in The Corner, he can't he shows up in the end of The Corner as a cop that's arresting me. um, and it was cool because well, before we started, we got to talk to them and get their side of uh, their different stories, and kind of get guidance on how to depict these characters. And it was definitely um, one of those moments in my career that I was proud to be a part of that.
Yeah, man. Great show, man. Underrated show too. I feel like the Wire
Yeah.
get a lot of attention, but the corner, man, that's my shit, man.
I honestly don't know what happened with the whole deal of it because it's not on HBO now. I've had people come up to me and be like, "Yo, you were in the BET series The Corner." And it's like, "Nah, that was HBO, bro." But, I think they sold like the rights to these different networks. So, the later generations get a little confused of what what it was. But it was also a mini series. I wasn't too aware of how miniseries work, but I would appreciate if they still played it on HBO. I mean, if people were able to go back and watch it on HBO Max. I don't know why they don't have it on there, but yeah, I feel like it did open up a lot of doors for them. And they had other series after that. They had The Wire, and then they had this show called The Deuce. They had Treme, and I was in talks with them to be involved with The Wire, but auditioning. But that was what I was talking about earlier. They were saying, that they still saw me as DeAndre, and they couldn't get that out of their head. And it's just like, bruh, like I'm an actor. And they were telling me that they wanted to try to bring me into the season where they were like in the high schools, and I didn't know what that meant because I was at this point a grown man, so I didn't know what they were talking about with that.
You being a kid actor, right? What is some of the roles you feel like you didn't get because of the movie Fresh?
Oh, I don't know. Well, with them, there was a small role in the Deuce that I auditioned for, but they still thought I was a kid. I mean, it was a cop role. Um, I don't know if they're not going to generally tell you why you didn't book. You know what I mean? But I know with them, they that was something they told me because we had that rapport. Um, hmm. I mean, there was one role that I was disappointed I didn't get because I felt like I killed the audition, but that was the Antoine Fisher movie. And when I read, I went in, read for Denzel, and then he brought in this woman to read with me, and it was Aaliyah. And I was like, oh, that was another moment where I was like, I don't know if I can look up from my side. But I think actually at that point I was a little bit more comfortable with it, and I just, we read, and I think the scene played perfectly. And I know with one of the scenes for my audition for when I was reading with Denzel, like I actually broke down in the audition. You know what I mean? From the my dialogue and what the emotion was of the scene, and I was like, yo, I bodied that, bro. But I ain't booked, so I don't know. But like I said, it's not always about what you did or how good you are. Sometimes it's just not for you, bro. You know what I mean? Sometimes they're looking for something else. I don't know. And I mean, there's have been other things that I've done that there was a movie that I was in called Taking a Pelham 123, where I auditioned for a role, and it was between me and my boy Benga, and they were like, they were trying to decide if they were gonna go older, and they were like, yeah, we're gonna go with somebody a little bit that presents a little older. You know what I mean? They went with Benga, but then they offered me a role of a cop that was supposed to be a bigger role. But once we shot it, Tony Scott, who was the director, there was a lot of stuff going on. It said that the schedule went behind. A lot of stuff didn't get shot and got cut, and a lot of my stuff didn't make it into the film. You know what I mean? So, but that was, I know, one project where they were like, yeah, I think we're gonna go a little bit older. You know what I mean? That looks a little older. And I think that's what it is too. It's like they feel like well, not now, because I'm definitely grown. But then it was like, yeah, we still see kid. I'm like, bro, I don't get it. So yeah, in the future, I'm gonna just grow all this out and just be like, yo, grown man ting.
Yeah, that's unfortunate, man. Because I mean, you a good actor.
Yeah, I mean, it's just how it goes. So what I'm focusing on is creating the work and showing, what I mean, what I can do, and that I am an adult, that I can play these roles that maybe you don't see, but let me show you. You know, and I mean, I've had opportunities to do these things, so it's cool, but I just want to take it to the next level, bro.
Yeah, but I never knew that Aaliyah, she auditioned for Antoine Fisher.
I don't know exactly. Yeah, she read with me. Yeah, no, I'm sure she was in the running, but I don't know, what the decision making was on that. I don't even remember the time, like if it was around when she had passed. So yeah, I don't know what, you know what I mean. But I do remember I read with her and I was hyped. It's like, thank God I got to meet her.
She was cool.
Nah, she was cool. Yeah, man. I mean, we just really kind of just did the scene, and she came in smiling, very pleasant. Just said hey. Kind of got into it, man. That was it. But yeah, it would have been fire if we were the ones that shot that, but wasn't meant to be.
So let me ask you this, right? Speaking of roles, have you ever been offered a role where you was like, hell no, I ain't taking this. This goes against everything that I believe in, my morals. Nah, I can't do it.
Yeah, I definitely had some that roles that I was like, yeah, nah, I'm good. And one that comes to mind in particular is it was one of these projects that actually I don't even think it ever even came out. But he was trying to throw some money around, and it was just like he offered me two roles in this project. Uh the story was about these guys, I guess, that were kind of um this crew that did like these heists or whatever. And one character uh dies kind of like in the beginning, but his body is like there throughout the whole movie. And then the other character, he doesn't die, but he's a part of the crew. And when the boss, um, I guess when the boss, is feeling amorous or something, he gets this character to come in and like perform oral sex on him. And this is the character the guy that's offering me the role wants me to play. So he's like he wants me to play this because he was like a I think the guy was like I don't even know what you call it, but like yeah, he used to sell himself, you know what I mean? But now he's a part of the crew. I mean, like I don't know what a guy like that is called.
Right. I don't
He's
know. Is
like,
that an escort or something? I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe he was like an escort. You know what I mean? Yeah. But like, yeah, he used to sell himself. And so he was like, yeah, you could choose from these two roles, but I really think you should play this one. And the guy that's the escort, the ex escort that's now a part of the crew. And I was like, yeah, nah, if we do this, I'll play the dead dude. I'll play the dude that's the body on the floor. He's like, nah, I think your fans will just be like, he's trying something different. He's thinking out of the box or whatever. I was like, nah, because that character to me, because this character, he's not homosexual or anything, but he's doing it, you know, for money or something. Like I'm not trying to play that too. It's like, yeah, that's not for me, bro. Like, I'm not trying to judge anybody or, make anybody feel bad, but their preference is just not something I want to do. You know what I mean? And it's like, I don't want to do anything where it would be like, oh, I got to be physical with some dude. You know what I'm saying? Like, nah, I'll pass on that. So yeah, that was one role that I was like, yeah, I just don't. I'll play the dead guy.
Yeah, that's wild, man. I mean, if you're doing something gay, if you're doing a gay act, you're homosexual. There's no way around that. You can't soften it, man. I mean,
Word.
you're gay, bro.
Word. It's like, yeah, nah, it's the same. It's the same. I'm good.
But yo, I didn't know you went to Temple.
Yeah, I went to Temple University out in Philly, film school. I chose that because it wasn't that far, and I had the opportunity to go to Lincoln University. They wanted me to go for drama as a major, and at that time I was like, man, I don't need no more drama classes. I want to learn something else. I want to take some film classes, and it would have been a full ride at Lincoln, and yeah, I decided to go to Temple. And I mean, it was cool. It was a good time, man. But if I would have done it over, I probably would have went to Lincoln. What'd you say?
What makes you say that you would have went to Lincoln?
Because I paid for Temple. It would have been, I paid to go. You know what I mean? And I was like, yeah, could you give me my money back? But nah, it was cool because I wanted that experience of being away from home, going to school. My parents always pushed for college, and I just be like, with the film major, I could have learned all this stuff on set, bro. It was just for the experience, really. To be able to have, because I felt like I missed out on a lot of things as a kid. I was working all the time, leaving school all the time. And even at Temple, I took off some time to do the corner. And I did a couple other episodes of like Law and Orders and all that. But at one point, I was just like, you know what? I got to focus on graduating. Let me just knock this out. You know what I mean? Ended up graduating with a film degree and an African American studies degree. But it was a good time. It's just that was a big bill, bro.
It wasn't worth it, man.
Yeah, I mean, like in hindsight, I would have been like, yeah, I'll just go to, have my experience at Lincoln. You know what I mean? Go free ride, bro. and just there's always stuff you could learn in the acting. You know what I mean? But I just was like, oh, I don't need to learn anything else. I'm good. I'm good. Good. But it's good to hone the craft, man.
Did people notice you when you was up there?
Oh, at Temple, yeah, hell yeah, because it literally happened twice. Where my freshman year of high school, I had Fresh coming out, so I'm the new kid at school that's got a movie out. You know what I mean? And it was like, who is this dude? Who he think he is? And the same thing happened at Temple. Right, my freshman year at Temple, I had The Wood coming out. You know what I mean? And I'm a quiet guy. You know what I mean? I didn't really know how to handle that type of attention, so I kept to myself, and people just looked at me like I was stuck up or something. You know what I mean? But it wasn't that. You know what I mean? I'm not used to the attention. At home, I ain't nobody. I'm just Sean. Don't nobody care. So, I mean, people just mistook that, so there was some of that, but, got a lot of attention. Some of it was good. Yeah, it was a good time, man. It's a good time.
And you was in a few HBO projects, right? That never came out.
Yeah, I had after we did the corner, I had gone out and had the audition, but I booked a series called The Money that I thought was gonna be something something good. That was about like this business mogul and like all his dirty dealings in New York City. And I was gonna play like this guy that owned like a bar slash gambling spot, and this is where people do the seedy business. But it just didn't go. And then I had another series that I did with them, and these are all David. I believe his name is David Milch, who was the creator, the showrunner behind these, and he did like the Deadwood series, and he the other show was a show called Last of the Ninth, which was about a corrupt precinct, I want to say in New York City, back in the 60s. And it was their story, basically. And I was going to play some guy that was wrongfully accused by the cops, you know, because of his race. And he's going back to try to sue the cops or something and sue the precinct and get a big payday. But yeah, that one also just didn't go. And it's like, yeah, I kind of want to get another shot at the HBO series, man. You know what I mean? Like I want to do some more with those. Yeah, I mean, with both of those projects, I wasn't the lead. I was just like a supporting or yeah, but I felt like maybe if I was the lead, they would have went. They would have got picked up.
As of late, if I'm not mistaken, you was in a couple of episodes of Power, right?
Yeah, Power Book 2 Ghost, I believe was the name of that one. Yeah. Uh got a few episodes out of that one, and I mean it was a cool set to be on. I was a fan of the show Power, the original one. So it was cool to be a part of that universe. And what's wild is that, after I did that, it kind of created like this buzz, like, oh, what I mean, 50 so smart to have, Fresh on here as the new drug dealer, blah, 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 blah. But it didn't really go nowhere. You know what I mean? That role. And I wasn't really like the new connect. But what was wild to me is that, a lot of people were coming up to me, oh, you're the dude from Power. And it was like these people weren't aware of the other stuff. I mean, it just felt weird to be like, oh wait, you're not saying Fresh or the Wood or the Corner? They talk about Power? Oh yeah. I mean, that's not my show, but yeah, I'm the guy from Power, I guess. Yeah, it was cool. It kind of I feel like a lot of it was a younger crowd that hadn't really seen those other projects. It was their introduction to my work, and that was dope. It's like, oh yeah, I'm the guy from Power.
You working on a series about a guy named Gusto Wells, right?
Oh, yeah, Gusto Wells. Yeah, that's my guy. Yeah, I got introduced to that idea for they wanted to do a movie about Gusto Wells, and Gusto and his partner reached out to me to do this film. They sent me the script. They wanted me to play Gusto's like his enforcer friend. You know what I mean? And when I read it, I was like, yeah, I guess I could play that role, but we'll see. And when they met me, they were like, oh, nah, you definitely more like Gusto. You know what I'm saying? Like the main dude. We want you to play him. And I feel like I like the idea because a lot of people don't know who Gusto is. He's a dude that came up in Harlem, and he had a record company back in the day called Rooftop Records. He broke a lot of artists. He had a club called the Rooftop, and it gave this place, you know, in what I want to say like the '80s, the beginning of hip hop. It gave a lot of artists an opportunity to showcase their talent. You know what I mean? Somewhere to go to perform, and also a record label. You know what I mean? To put out music. And he also was a part of the creation of the Rucker tournaments. You know what I mean? And he has his hands in all these different things, but people don't really know unless you're from Harlem. You don't really know his story and what he's accomplished. So I thought it would be dope to tell this dude's story. You know what I mean? And I'm in the process of trying to create that and flesh out the right story and get that into it, made into a series, man. So yeah, I'm building on that.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that, man. I'm looking them up right now
Yeah.
as we speak. Yeah, I never heard of
Yeah,
them.
I had never heard of him, and I'm from New York, and I'm like, yo, how the hell? But when I talk to some of these older cats, they know who he is. And it's like, you know, uh, I guess in that situation, I'm part of the younger generation that just didn't realize, and it's like, yeah, I want to get into telling, not just on that level, but the stories of these different people that are a part of our culture. And we haven't had like a Marcus Garvey movie. We haven't had uh I'll probably be butchering his name, like Toussaint Louverture, who was a part of the independence of Haiti. Like all these different people that we can be telling these stories, but these stories aren't told. We've got, and not to knock it, but we've got a lot of Malcolm X, and we got a lot of Martin Luther King, but there's other stories that could be told as well. We've got a lot of people that stood up for us and represented for us, and I want to tell all of them. I mean, I was actually approached to this is when I was a lot younger as well, to play this guy named Major Taylor, who was somebody I didn't really know about also. And I forget what years it was. I want to say maybe the 50s. It might have been a different time period. I'm not sure, but he was the fastest man alive on a bicycle, black man. You know what I'm saying? But people don't really know who this guy is. So it was Major Taylor, and I remember a few years ago I saw a Hennessy commercial that Nas was narrating, and it was about Major Taylor. You know what I mean? Yeah, and I was like, "Yo, where's the movie? Let's do the movie, God." Yeah. So all these different stories, all these different people that it's like, why don't we know these stories, man?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, we should know about these people, man. And that's a good niche to get in too.
Yeah. So I want to be a part of the movement and trying to push to get these films out, these series out. We can't be just doing. I mean, there's a time and place for everything. We've got the Hustler movies. That's dope, but we've got other stories we could tell, man. And definitely want to get into that. So that's where I'm at with it. I'm trying to create that type of stuff. And there's other projects too. I've got a comic book, a horror comic book that I'm pushing. That's actually a series that we wanted to make as well. But you know, uh, we figured that a comic book was an easy way to get it out and build the buzz before we went for the series route. So it's called Gateway. The Gateway. It's about a guy that's, if you end up in his pawn shop, you've done something wrong. It's almost like a Twilight Zone, or I don't know, like one of those things where if you once you enter that pawn shop. You're in another dimension, and now it's a test of your soul. If you pass, you might live, but for the most part, you end up there. You ain't gonna make it. You know what I'm saying? Because you're being tested by the devil, basically. Yeah, that's some other horror. That was my boy who's the writer. He loves that horror stuff. So that was the horror genre.
And I know you're working on another project, right? Called Ricky.
Yeah. I'm waiting for that one to come out. Another new director, writer. Um, it's the movie's about a guy named Ricky who's who got locked up in his teens, and now I think he was released 15 years later, and it's like he doesn't know how to operate in the outside world. And it's speaking on mental illness. It's speaking on these people not really having the support and like the guidance on what to do next. You know what I mean? And how it's so easy to kind of fall through the cracks and fall back into bad habits, man, or bad situations. So this one, it's definitely another dope project. I got a small role in that one, but I was when I was presented with the opportunity to be a part of it at the Sundance Labs, I just was blown away by the short. Um, and the director Rashad, he was just like, yeah, man, I want you to be a part of it. They built up a character uh, that we just had created for the Sundance Labs to work on, but then in our talking, we built up my character a little bit more. So now he's in the feature and has a role, and he's kind of like a a little bit more integrated into Ricky's story and why what happened to Ricky happened to him. And it's definitely a dope project. Hopefully, it comes out soon. I'm not sure exactly what's going on with the distribution, but yeah, it's definitely one to keep an eye out for.
And you got a project out right now called Angie's Career, right?
Yep. Yep. We've got that on a bunch of different streaming platforms. That was one that, they reached out to me from LA, and they had this project that they were interested in me being in, and I read the script. I was like, it's kind of wild, but if it's done right, I think it could be something, bro. But it's a lot of times I've done things where, or you've seen scripts where it's like the script is good, but then once it gets shot and edited and they're putting it out, it's not what you imagined. But that's not what happened with Angie's Cure. They did it the right way, and I feel like the execution was done right. And that one's about a girl who it starts off with her as a teenager, and she decides to go hang out with her friends, go to a house party, and then one thing leads to another, and she ends up in a bad situation where she ends up getting raped, and she can't really, after that situation, she can't be around men. It affects her in a way that she can't. When a man's coming up the street, she wants to cross the street, she can't look him in the eyes, she can't be around her mother's boyfriend, she doesn't want to be around men. And cut to years later, when she's older and she's still having this issue, uh my character comes in and decides he wants to rob her place of employment where she works, and she kind of snaps and flips the situation on him, and now he's her hostage. You know what I mean? But nobody knows what she's doing. She's keeping it to herself, and this is her therapy to get through this. What she's doing to this man. So what I mean. That was a different story. I thought that was a interesting. What I mean, to flip that power dynamic. You know what I mean?
And you was in a couple of episodes of Law and Order, right?
A couple. I've been more than yeah. Actually, I've been in like I've been in a bunch of episodes of Law and Order, man. I've been in all well, at this point, I guess it's not all the different iterations of Law and Order, but I've been in the regular Law and Order. I want to say 3 times as 3 different people. One episode, I was the dead body, I guess. And how they have in the I know, right? I played the dead body. Uh, Well, it was a episode where it was like a hit and run. I'm in the street with my boy playing ball, and ball goes out in the street. I run after it, get hit by a car, dead. And then what was another one? I did one where I was. It was called Runaways, and I think that was kind of a big episode where I'm playing this character named Tito, who's helping the police find these runaway kids that are like uh being I guess they're being like drugged or something, or but it's like yeah, why the police are really getting involved is because one of like the police chief's daughters gets like caught up in this whole thing and she's missing. And I'm like, oh, I know how to find her. And I'm walking around interviewing these kids on the street, and I have a camera in my do rag or in my yeah, no, kind of my do rag on my head. It was like some crazy episode, but I think my character ends up getting popped in that too. Um, there's another episode where I'm playing a rapper who's you know telling stuff in his songs that he shouldn't be telling, and people getting caught up for that. Um, and in the last Law and Order that I played, I was the lieutenant's son, and she's going through like cancer treatments, and I'm trying to help her get through that. And I think at one point I like slip her some weed to deal with it. It was wild, but yeah, man, bunch of them Law and Orders, man.
Let me ask you this, yo. Do you feel like as an actor you're underrated?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's underrated. I think it's just maybe it is, and I might be seeing it differently. I think it's just, people. It's like I'm almost getting slightly typecasted, but not really. You know, where it's like, you're getting stuck in this image. I think that's what it is for me. Where it's like, it's the transition can often be hard when you've done all this work as a child, and then when you grow up and it's like, well, you still kind of look like that kid. You know what I mean? It's kind of hard to like, when people just can't stop seeing you. Maybe you did too good of a job. I don't know. You know what I mean? It's like, we still see you as that. You know what I mean? And you got actors that played that one role too good, and that's all they ever, you know what I mean? That was it for them. And I've been lucky enough to not have been in that situation, but I feel like there's a lot more for me to do, man. So what I mean, I don't know if it's necessarily underrated. Maybe there is a little bit of underrated there, but I feel like the time there's still time, and there's more coming, man. And I just can't wait to show that. You know what I mean? Like, okay, I think it's mostly yeah, just like growing up in this game and trying to show like, okay, I have matured. There's maturity to this. You know what I mean?
What is one of your biggest regrets when you look back at your career?
Biggest regrets. Hmm. Um, I think, you know, one of the things is like, taking it for granted a little bit. When I did take off time. Even I've had other actors that were like, yo, you went to school? Why? And it's like, why not? But, a lot of times it's like when you have it, you got to hold on to it. You know what I mean? You got to run with it. And I feel like, taking off the time might have, chopped it up a little bit, made things a little bit more stagnant, made the grind a little bit harder. But I honestly would probably do it again. You know what I mean? Because it's like, it for me, it was always trying to find, I wanted to do the normal things that kids were doing. So, that was my opportunity, and I took it. So that was just one thing that's like I kind of regret it, but I'd probably do it again. It's a part of it's part of my story, man. And then I'm just out here grinding, and it was like I I still was doing things, but it's like coming back as an adult, and it's like okay. Who's this guy? Now you got to reinvent, you know what I mean, reestablish. And that's what it is. What's next? I'm up for the challenge.
You being a child actor, how you be feeling, man, when you be seeing all these other, child actors spiral out of control?
Yeah, because some of these dudes are wild, bro. It's like, yo, what happened to you, bro? Well, I mean, maybe that's one of the things why, it's taken me so long to take it to the next level because I didn't play those games, bro. Like, I don't know. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's just like I've never got Hollywood as people might have thought. You know what I mean? A lot of people thought I was from Cali, you know? It's like, nah, I never lived there. Never, you know what I mean? I'd go there, do the work, and come back home. But yeah, it's wild. It's the game can change you, man, and it's stressful. It can tear you down. I mean, I had gone into an audition, uh, and the casting agent's like, well, we kind of need you to be more of a Tay Diggs, and right now you're like an Ice Cube, and it's like people just yeah. It's like I don't know what the hell that means, bro. But like they just telling you all types of stuff that is like you just gotta kind of like roll with the punches, bro. It's like as long as they ain't call you out your name or whatever, acting crazy, it's just like okay, let's expand. What do you mean? What are we talking about, bro? Like, but they'll definitely kind of just be like, what I mean, saying something stupid. Yeah, yeah, I never got it. And that was probably one of my first auditions, auditioning for something Disney, I think. And I remember they had us come in and it was like, all right, you stand over there, you stand over there. And it was like, okay, dance to this song. It's like, what? We all it's like, what the hell? I don't know what the hell. I didn't get the part. Like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. But yeah, man. Yeah, I never did no Disney, so maybe that's why I'm saying. Actually, I did do a movie that was on a it was a well, we did shot it on Disney Ranch. I don't know if it was actually a Disney project, but it was a movie with Holly Berry and Terrence Howard and a bunch of other people called Their Eyes Are Watching God, but it was like a TV movie. You know what I mean? But I had read the book in high school, I believe. So that was dope that I was able to be a part of that one as well. And I actually auditioned for Belly, but what I mean, I don't know, I don't remember what happened with that. I remember they had me reading DMX's role, what I mean, before he was obviously attached or whatever. But I was like, I'm a kid. Why the hell am I reading this? But then they had me read like one of the other younger characters. I forget which one it was, but yeah, that one never happened either. I feel like a lot of times they would just kind of throw me in these situations where they'd have me audition for something, but the age wasn't right. I don't know if they were just trying to see if I where I fit, and it's just like just read this. But some of it just didn't make sense. I was like, what the hell? Because I went out. I don't. You remember Oz, the TV show Oz?
Yeah, I remember that. Yep.
Yeah, I had auditioned for that as the guy Harold, who he played the narrator role, was in the wheelchair. I auditioned for that role, but it was like I felt like I was too young for that. So I don't even know. I don't even know why I had got in for that. But maybe they were trying to figure out where I fit. I don't know. But yeah, I didn't get in. I didn't get into that project. Yeah, man.
Sean Nelson, man. Great interview, very insightful. We definitely got to run it back, man. But before we leave, man, let the people know what you got going on.
Well, I mean, right now I got another short film that we've been pushing around. That one's called Ohio Texas Remix. That was the reason why I had gone to Austin to shoot that with my boy Yaki, who directed and wrote it. And he's trying to see if he wants to make that one into a feature. We'll see if we could get that one out. That's also loosely based on his life. We got Ricky coming. That one's definitely gonna be coming soon. Angie's Cure. We got the Gusto Wells series that I'm working on creating. I got the comic book, The Gateway, that we've got two comic books out now, and yeah, I mean, there's there's a bunch of different stuff, bro. Just trying to keep, just trying to stay busy, you know.